The party is over. The last guest just walked out the door. You closed it behind them, and for a moment you just stood there, still, listening to the silence settle back into the room like it was never interrupted. And then something happened that you've never told anyone about. Relief. Not the polite kind, not a quiet exhale, a wave. Deep, flooding, almost euphoric relief, and like your entire body had been clenching for hours, and only just remembered how to let go. You look around at the glasses on the table, the extra chairs pulled in from the other room, the lingering smell of food that isn't yours. And somewhere underneath the gratitude, underneath the "I had a great time," there is something heavier. Exhaustion. Not the kind that sleep fixes in one night, the kind that sits in your bones for days. And the worst part? These were people you chose to invite. People you genuinely love. You wanted them there. You planned for them. You showed up for them. And still, you are completely, utterly drained. So you do what you always do. You smile at the memory. You text, "Had so much fun." And quietly, privately, you wonder if something is wrong with you. There isn't. In fact, what's happening inside you is one of the most sophisticated neurological processes a human brain can run. But nobody ever told you that. Let's go back to earlier that day. Hours before the first knock on your door, you were already performing. You were mentally rehearsing conversations, mapping out where people would sit, calculating how to make everyone comfortable, who might not get along, who needs more attention, who you have to manage just to keep the energy right. You hadn't even opened the door yet, and you were already working. Then they arrived, and you became someone slightly different. Not fake, not dishonest, just activated. You tracked the room, you read expressions, you noticed the slight tension when two people disagreed, and you quietly, instinctively dissolved it before anyone else even felt it. You laughed at the right moments. You asked the right questions. You made sure no one felt left out, no one felt ignored, no one felt unwelcome in your space. You were the host, the anchor, the emotional center of that room. And all of it happened in your home. The one place on earth that is supposed to be yours. So when the last person left, your brain didn't just stop socializing. It began the long, quiet process of reclaiming. And that process cost something. You know this feeling intimately. The next morning you wake up and the weight is still there. You cancel the plans you made for the following day. You need the house completely to yourself. You need silence that isn't polite silence. Real silence. The kind that has no expectations embedded in it. And the guilt arrives right on schedule. Why am I like this? They came all this way. They were so kind. What is wrong with me? You replay the moments. You wonder if you said something wrong, if you were a bad host, if your exhaustion means you don't care enough, if maybe you are just fundamentally not built for people. That guilt, that story you keep telling yourself, it was never yours to carry. Society has a word for people like you. Antisocial. Or better yet, difficult. High maintenance, too sensitive. Needs too much alone time. Can't handle normal social situations. As if the ability to host a room full of people, how you read every subtle emotional undercurrent and make everyone feel seen, is somehow a weakness. As if the fact that this extraordinary level of processing costs you something means you are broken. The world tells you to push through, to toughen up, to act like the people who bounce back in an hour, as if their ease is the standard and your depth is the defect. But here's what the world never told you. Those people who recover in an hour, they weren't running what you were running. Your home is not just a place where you sleep. Neuroscientists have a name for what it actually is. It is your primary nervous system regulation zone. This means your home is the single environment your brain has spent years mapping, calibrating, and encoding as safe. Every corner, every sound, every smell, every object in its place. Your brain has a precise, detailed map of this space. And when that map is undisturbed, your autonomic nervous system shifts into its lowest threat, highest recovery state. You don't just relax at home, you regulate at home. Now here's where it gets fascinating. When guests enter that space, your brain doesn't just switch into social mode. It runs two simultaneous programs at once. Program 1, social performance. Reading faces, modulating your tone, tracking conversational dynamics, managing energy, responding, anticipating, adapting. The same exhausting cognitive load you'd carry anywhere. Program 2, territorial vigilance. This one is invisible. You don't even feel it consciously. But deep in your brain's threat detection systems, your amygdala, your insular cortex, a quiet, persistent process is running the entire time your guests are there. Is my space still safe? Is it still mine? Is the environment I depend on for recovery being altered? Psychologists call this the dual processing burden, and it is documented, measurable, and real. Think of it like this. Imagine running your phone's most demanding application while simultaneously running a full background system scan for 4 to 6 hours straight. The battery doesn't just drain, it depletes. That is your nervous system after hosting in your own home. Not drained from socializing. Drained from socializing and from the continuous, unconscious effort of monitoring, protecting, and maintaining the integrity of the only space your brain has designated as its refuge. The recovery isn't weakness. It isn't rudeness. It isn't a character flaw. It is your brain billing you for running two programs at maximum load, simultaneously, for an entire day. And here's the part that matters most. The brains that run this dual program, the ones that are sensitive enough to track both social environment and physical environment simultaneously, are the same brains that research consistently identifies as having higher empathetic processing, greater environmental awareness, and more complex threat mapping than average. Your exhaustion is not a malfunction. It is the cost of an extraordinary machine. Stop measuring yourself against people who recover in an hour. You are not running what they are running. You were never designed for surface-level processing. You were designed to feel deeply, track precisely, and protect fiercely, including the inner world you have built inside four walls that most people would never even notice. Your need for days of recovery isn't a sign that you love people less. It is a sign that you gave them everything you had. And the home you come back to, the silence you sink into, the slow, quiet reclaiming of your space, that isn't isolation. That is a high-performance system, running its necessary maintenance cycle. So the next time the door closes behind the last guest, and that wave of relief washes over you, don't apologize for it. Don't diagnose it. Don't spend the next 3 days feeling guilty for needing what you need. Your brain just ran a marathon that most people don't even know exists. You showed up, fully, for every person in that room. Now, let yourself come back to yourself. You were never broken for needing that. You were just running at a level others can't see. Stop trying to fix what was never broken.